Good afternoon. Tuesday, February 27th, at approximately 4 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners to order. At the present time, Bob Kosker and myself are here. Bob Rowan is in a doctor's office getting x-rays on a injured foot. So we hope he'll get here, but we're not sure exactly when he'll be here. But we do have two members, so we are officially holding a meeting. First order of business is to approve the minutes of January 23rd, 2024.
I move that we table approval of the minutes of January 23rd until they're finished.
Moves second, table the minutes on January 23rd. Our first appointment is Mr. Shabbat.
Yes.
We'll go forward, bring a chair and your associates want to come with you, they're welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Hal Chuba. I'm a consulting engineer with
Bud Lauren and
Bob Kosker.
with offices in Dartmouth, Massachusetts, and I'm here with my client Prestige. My client owns and operates about 25 car washes in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and in the Boston metropolitan area. We're here to discuss the feasibility of upgrading an existing water service to a property. The property is located at 32 Main Street. It measures approximately 1.6 acres. So this property when I checked with the sewer department, it was assessed as being equal to 6 residential units. So they allowed for this property 6 units with 3 bedrooms, 110 gallon per bedroom, which they allocated 1,960 gallon per day flow from that property to the sewer, because I know they had an issue with the sewer treatment plant at one time, and I believe, I'm not sure if it's up to, but this is what it's allocated for. And there's an existing 3/4 inch water service to the property. The property is in the commercial zone. We propose to construct a car wash. The car wash is subject to a special permit from the zoning board of appeal. So we're not here to get any permits from the water department. We're here just to talk about the feasibility of upgrading the existing water service. But prior to our meeting with you, we held a couple of meetings informal meetings with the town planner and the building commissioner. The building commissioner is here, and we ran this by the sewer department, which they had no objection to what we do. So what we have, I submitted a plan that shows what we need for this facility. We need about 2,000 gallons per day to run the car wash. About most of our water, and I indicated that we recycle 80% of our water, but we do lose some of it too. And I have Mr. Drury here who can go into more detail on the daily operation of the facility. But we felt that we needed most of our car washes. We usually have a 2-inch water line because most of the equipment that we have is designed to work with the 2-inch line. I think at the previous plans that you had, we showed a 2-inch line, and I did get the memo that this is not going to be accepted, or it's exceeded the allowable capacity that you would agree on this. So what I did have some talk with the building commissioner and the sewer at one time, and we explored the possibility that using a 1-inch line that we can go to a holding tank, and then from the holding tank we can draw the water that we need at the pressure that we need to ensure. So what I have here, I have a revised plan for 1 inch to upgrade the existing 3/4 inch to a 1-inch line, and we're here to discuss whatever
I think the issue is the service that was at this facility was discontinued approximately 10 years ago. So there's no existing service to the property at the present time.
Okay.
Given the fact that the building was demolished, there was no reuse of it, as far as I am concerned, and I think as far as the board is concerned, there is no existing service at the present time. Unfortunately, the town is in a position where we have put a moratorium on all new connections. My own opinion is this would be considered a new connection as such, at the present time, until such time as we are able to, get a new well location and fabricated and online. I see no way, it'll be my opinion, to say that you can upgrade a 3/4 inch to a 1 inch, because a 3/4 inch does not exist. It existed years ago under a single family home that then was converted to an office to Beneath Walk. That building was demolished and all service was discontinued.
Well, I have, the reason I'm saying this, because I have it from a memo from your commission, from you, that's saying the property is currently serviced by a single 3/4 inch. So regardless whether, so there's no water connection, there's a more, you can't develop a property in the town. Is that what it is? I mean,
At
it's
the
not,
present time, we do not have the ability to permit new connections in town.
okay, now, is the well would be accepted as, I mean, that has would probably have to run through by the Board of Health or whatever. I mean, in the facility itself, we only have one bathroom for the attendant, so we're not really looking at any potable water or any, so even if we can draw the water from a well, we can use that water to run the car wash. Is that something that we need to explore with either the Board of Health or I don't know.
So for the record, Jason Silva, Building Commissioner, Community Development. To get back to the original, I guess, format, the car wash has obviously a major factor with water, right? That's the main component of this, and so without water, this project doesn't happen. But what I'm hearing from the commission is that it doesn't matter if it's a car wash or if it's another business or anything. There's nothing going on this property at all. There's nothing can be done unless there's private wells driven, is effectively what it is.
Any property in town, it's not just this property.
So that certainly more or less ends the discussion, I think, in this case, the engineer and myself could certainly go back to the drawing board and look at what other options there are. Yes, there is options to drive private wells, understanding that that's certainly, again, an option. Whether it's feasible or not, I don't know.
Yeah, it
but
depends on the rate, yeah.
So, tonight was basically is to see if the water commissioners had an interest in working with the applicant to provide some level of water to the site. And then maybe someday down the road, if the moratorium is lifted, obviously to take those restrictions off of it. If the answer is 0 is available, that's the answer. That's what we're trying to look for, is to find out how to move forward on this or not move forward. And we don't want to send away a good new business in town that will pay significant taxes on otherwise empty property, which has been empty since the water turned off in 2012. So it hasn't been occupied, it hasn't been used in any way, and it hasn't been paying a water bill in more than a decade. It hasn't been realistically paying taxes in the town, aside from a vacant lot, in more than a decade. So we have an opportunity as, again, development director, to put this back in. There's no kids going to school. There's very little utility systems that are going to this. Police, fire don't visit car washes for emergencies very often. So not my favorite use, but it's something that we see as an opportunity for the residents to try and put some money back into the tax revenues.
I think
It's not-
the problem I see as a water commissioner is that if we were to say, yeah, okay, fine, I understand what you're saying, it opens the door to everybody who wants water to point to this and say, you made an exception here, you'll make an exception for us or we'll sue.
Again, your
That's-
position,
that's-
I don't discount, nor do I care to debate, because you're entirely within your
That
rights
is
to
our
make your own
problem.
decisions. All I'm asking, is there an opportunity to find some way to work together, and if there isn't, there isn't, and that's, but you can't help, you can't not ask, we have to ask, we have to try and make things happen,
Yeah,
you know?
hopefully we will have some positive answers about moving forward somewhere in the near future. I agree, I don't like car washes either, but you're right, it's a good business as far as the tax base is concerned. You know, but we have historically, basically, once we've made a regulation, rule, whatever you wanna call it, one way we've stayed out of the legal system is to make sure that it applies to everybody. I do not, as a commissioner, feel that it's the water department's responsibility to control growth in the town. Matter of fact, I shudder at the fact that some people think that the fact that we can't provide water stops growth in the town. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to provide potable water for every resident, every business in town. But we need to be able to do that safely and efficiently. And unfortunately, because of circumstances that were somewhat beyond our control and growth, it sort of took a quicker path than we thought it was gonna be. And the development of the well and the well site has been longer than we thought. We're in the position now that, as I said, the moratorium basically stops all new growth in town. A couple projects that have been on the books for a while that are still there, but nothing's moving on. But as far as, you know, no hookups, unfortunately, I don't know how we can do it.
A new well opens things up. And we're consistently working towards getting the land for a new well. I'm optimistic we'll be able to do it in the relatively near future, but then there's the time it takes to build the well. And until that happens, the moratorium is in place, and I don't see us moving from that moratorium. If we have a dry summer, it's going to be very noticeable to people, the different measures we're going to have to take to maintain the water pressure that we need to maintain.
So I again, don't discount, no debate here, but I just want to point out the obvious, because it has relevance, is that in taking the position you have, which again, for the reasons you have, way more involved than I care to about your pump rates and DEP and things like that. But what I'll tell you is that when we look at redevelopment, which is really what we have on the 3A corridor, where we have businesses and properties that were created back, you know, hundreds of years ago. And most of it now is serviced by sewer, some of it's serviced by septic systems. And when you look at trying to locate wells as an example for a location here, maybe there is a location, maybe there's not. So it becomes extremely challenging to try to take and redevelop any area when you don't have any flexibility. Again, not your fault and not anyone's fault, but these are the challenges we're facing. So, you know, moving forward, you know, aside from this direct discussion, I think I'd like to be a little more involved to find out, you know, where, when, and what, so that we can have answers to people when they come to us. I don't want to keep throwing them in your office, right? Putting you guys on the spot. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about trying to find out what we need to do as the rest of the community to help you guys to help solve the problems that can solve it for everyone. You know?
Pass the well.
Yeah, again, the other problem was that if Joe Veneer, back when Joe was alive, and then his son-in-law when he was alive, had kept the building occupied and used, then they would have had a viable service. The fact that it was demolished and service was cut off, you know, sort of ended the use. So if you had something that was an existing use and wanted to rehab it and use it for a different reason, that would be a little bit different, because there's an existing ongoing use. We don't have that here.
I agree, the use was abandoned, the building was abandoned, everything was abandoned. It may still have a connection, but it's not been used for quite a long time. So, so again, I appreciate the time, I don't mean to jump into the equation, but, it sounds like, the group that's proposing this and ourselves need to, sit down and think of other solutions.
And understand that I agree with, but I'm not anti-growth either. This was not an anti-growth vote that we made. It was necessity to preserve the water pressures in the event that we needed for the fire flows. So we, personally, I'm not against growth.
The board's not.
And expanding the tax base is in everybody's best interest in town, and it's not the kind of industry that I'm opposed to. It's just we don't have the water. And if we were to make an exception here, then we don't have a rule, because everybody will be coming in looking for the same exception.
So, again, I would love to revisit the issue with you guys to try and be a part of solutions. What I can do, and if we could ever get something in place, and other communities have used these opportunities to say, when an applicant comes to me like this and says, and we have a system already pre-set up, there's an actual cost involved, right? This applicant gets his permits, but he actually has to contribute to a fund that actually contributes back to solve crisis some of these issues. So I think we can all find out that, a holistic solution if we can all get, hopefully, like you said, sooner than later. But right now, not to point out the obvious, but it's challenging to make things happen.
I think it's important for anybody who wants this kind of tax-based growth to seriously consider supporting a new well, which will likely be on the ballot on the town meeting.
No, don't jump ahead.
Hopefully,
We would like to think that it's gonna be on there, we don't know when it, Ideally, it would be great if it was, but again, even if it was on the ballot and we were ready to,
No,
With our
it would take
plans,
probably
we-
a couple of years. to
we're
design
talking
and
a couple of
finish
years in order to get it online,
it. So in the interim, and again, this is what I need to know is what I need to know is how to.
And
have
as far as
discussions.
this is concerned, and as far as the bathroom for, if in fact you even decided to try to do wells, I'm not sure whether the Board of Health would allow a bathroom based on,
No, it'd have to be
Well-
portable, it'd have to be,
but
For about-
that's beyond our control.
Sorry to interrupt. You can do it. It's called a great permit. And that's another permit that you get to get the well water to flush for. So it's a great permit.
No, it's not ours.
it's not both.
We're not pumping it in until you,
Yeah.
discharge it, so.
So again, I appreciate your time
And
and
again-
conversation.
Anytime you wanna have a discussion, really,
No, I'll definitely set something up where we can sit down, and whether it's in a formal or informal, whatever makes sense. And see what I can do to help,
Yeah.
And if the taxpayer is certainly looking forward to economic growth. So, I mean,
Well, these are the kinds of things that I get it, I'm not trying to be, these guys have a great business, but when we look at the impacts on the community, that's the decisions that I try to make. It's like, doesn't mean if I like it or not, does it help the community?
Thank you. for
Well, thank
coming,
you for your time.
And thank you for coming,
We appreciate your time.
I'll
be in touch.
stay in touch with
Thank you.
with us and we'll keep you informed as to where we're headed.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll be in touch with Stacy and I'll set something up, to sit down and go
Yeah.
over things and see what I can do to help.
Yep.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Jason.
Take care.
Kristen's next with updates. She's not in the book because I had nothing to put in there, so.
Okay.
I know the other.
Just before we go anywhere else, did he have some type of letter from us? It goes back. Kind of more. He said he had something that,
Did we sent them a memo stating that, because they were looking for a 2-inch service line. So we wrote what had been at that property prior,
okay.
and that if he
Yeah,
wanted to.
no,
know-
again,
Referencing the water moratorium, that
Yeah.
we didn't have a service connection
we were
provided.
just hoping to get at least the 3/4 inch.
Yes.
Based on
Right.
the fact that it had been there 12 years ago.
Yes, the letter that was generated from his office and sent to them was in reference of the water moratorium, we cannot provide them with a 2-inch service.
Yeah.
That the property had previously been serviced by a 3/4 service has been discontinued upon demolition of the existing previous structure.
Yeah, I just wondered what they were looking at. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's what
that's fine.
that's what was referenced, was a
Yeah.
memo based on the permits that were sent in with the plans.
Whatever goes there, would they have to do a new tap into the system?
Oh, yeah.
I assume so, right? The existing tap, which has been dormant for 12 years, can't be of any value.
It could be used, we should have ties to where that corporation is, but that corporation should have been discontinued at the corporation, that 3/4 inch service, so. That 3/4 inch tap is still there and can still be utilized without doing a new tap. We could probably be a new tap of a larger size and a better location to suit
Yeah, okay.
the tenant's needs.
Okay, so some engineering updates for the Main Street Water Main project. For the permit that was submitted with DOT, I saw that the town did process the payment with DOT for that permit. So they should be reviewing it, and they had given us a potential date for having comments of March 4th. And so that's,
Next week.
yeah, coming up, maybe it's another week, but hopefully in the first part of March, we get their initial review comments. Based on that, we'll know what kind of edits we need to make to the plans and specifications. And then at that point, we can decide, okay, does it seem like it's worth taking the risk on not having the final permit yet to put the package out to bid? And then once we get the final permit in before construction starts, there might be some additional tweaks that have to be made. We'll have to just talk about that next month.
Just seems to me that the time is like really of an essence here
It
because
is.
of school. And disrupting the bus schedule as little as possible, so I would be in favor of whatever we had to do to start immediately as soon as we can.
Yeah.
And if it means taking a little bit of a risk, I don't think it's a huge risk.
I don't think so either. Yeah, just went through this on a project down in North Sagamore. We were in a similar situation of, on that project, needing to get done with the bulk of the work in the spring, so that work's not happening in the summer down there. So we had to kind of do the same thing. We got the initial review comments, made some tweaks to the design plans, and then went out to bid. Got the bids back. We just got the final DOT permit back last week, so we already had the bids done. And the only thing that they included in there that was really gonna be a little bit of a change was requiring a 3-year performance bond. So now that's kind of a new thing for them to require that instead of just a standard 1-year performance bond. So I'll just take that comment and put it into your specs. So give us the 3-year. We know it's the same district office. They're gonna require that on this project.
And I would think based on the comments, you know whether there's anything that's a potential serious problem or if it's
Yeah,
small.
it was, yeah, that was really the only little cost thing on that one, and even with that, it was only, a couple $1,000 cost.
I don't think
issue.
it's a huge risk.
It's
personally.
right, and on that one, we would have lost about 6 to 8 weeks, and that would have pushed us into the summer construction season, which.
But we
they
can't
didn't
lose
wanna
6
do
to 8
down
weeks
there.
on this project.
No, we can't, so I think we'll get the substantial technical design review comments in March.
No,
On,
let's get the bid on.
yeah.
bid on.
on both the road reconstruction and then the traffic management. So hopefully we're able to resolve those quickly, and then, yeah, we can get out to bid and stay on that schedule that we had pulled together.
Have you had any discussion with the Kingston Police Department yet?
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can probably do that once we have the big DOT comments back to see what they're gonna be satisfied with for the traffic management plan. And then we can talk to the police about the different routes that we have proposed for the detours, and some of that, even if we have to start the bid and then have to make some tweaks to the traffic management plan during the bid process, we'll just deal with that.
The only thing I get worried about is the number of officers, because,
Oh,
whatever we see around town, it could be a party the way.
Yeah,
You see yellow jackets standing
Yeah.
around, and, you need sufficient police to move traffic, but you don't have to have an overabundance of police so that, it's convenient.
yeah, for some of it, for the bulk of it, we're trying to keep one lane of traffic open, right? So that's usually a detail on either end of that. And for the locations where we were doing the tie-ins crossing the street, that's where we were proposing some road
Yeah.
closures. So that, we might end up with some extra details at those points, but that's limited, like they should be able to cross the roads in a day or two. It's not a long duration thing, so. Yeah, we'll prompt that discussion, in March. So, and we did already got comments back from town council, so incorporating theirs. So it really is just the final DOT part that we have to pull in. The other project we're working on is the Water Management Act Grant Project. Chris, Stacy, and I were just meeting about that before this meeting to go over a couple of things. Stacy's actively working on a bunch of data collection that I threw her way, and
I couldn't believe you were looking for what you're looking for.
I know,
Do you really need that long,
I
that
do.
detailed?
I do. To build the rate model, yes.
I question that.
Oh.
Well,
Oh.
since she's done this
Huh?
multiple
Yeah.
times, I guess she would know.
Yeah,
Otherwise, the rate model's not accurate.
but you were looking for,
Individual customer usage.
Yeah,
for 10 years.
about 48,000 records.
Well, you need, we
Lines.
picked
Yeah.
a dry year when your revenues will be higher, and then a wet year when your revenues will be lower. So then you wanna make sure that you're covering both extremes. So, and you need a whole fiscal year to look at.
The question was whether you needed every single.
Yeah, and I can't
Rate,
have them in groups, otherwise, because the rates, especially you guys have like a 6-tiered rate system.
Mhm.
So you need to know specifically for each customer how much water they're using each quarter to be able to appropriately come up with the model. If it's in a bulk, then I don't know how much that customer used versus this one. And so, like, at what point did they change from tier 1 to tier 2? And how much money does that represent? That's where you need the individual accounts, otherwise the rate model is not
As long
accurate.
as she doesn't kill you, you're.
No, I think, well, I just need to find out which report to run. The computer does it itself, so it's not like I'm collecting each individual line.
You're not going 4,800.
I'm not, scrolling through I'm just running the report, I just need to find out what report to run, and stuff like that.
Yes, how to export that, and that's typical, I usually have
She has the
that,
hard job.
I usually have that come up with, because it is unusual to ask for that information to be exported, so every time I ask for it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to call software people or whoever to try to figure out how to get you this data. But it is useful.
All right.
And then once the model's built, I'll train Stacy how to use it. So she'll be able to, really every year, you'll be able to look at, all right, what do you have for your targeted budget? What kind of revenues do you need to come in? And then do the rates need to be tweaked? How much do they need to get tweaked? And you can play with that a little bit. So it'll be useful for you.
Somebody.
Yeah. It will be. And it's more accurate then, rather than just looking at it as a percentage of the big number.
Mhm.
So. Yes, so that's, and then we were going over a couple other things with, storage. Things like that. So this will be going on now for the next few months, trying to work through this. We're in the early stages right now. I think we'll be making a little bit more progress once we get into later into March and April.
Do we have a date on when they're gonna be taking down that temporary pole at the water?
Oh,
I can provide an update on that.
Okay, okay. I didn't know what part you played.
that's not me. No, I was not. I did not get involved in the tank painting job. It does look very nice though.
It does look very nice.
Yeah, now this is the potential second storage tank in the high zone. Preliminary, looking at the preliminary water needs for 20 years in the future, there will be a certain point where you do need additional storage, just like you need the additional well. It makes the most sense to put that storage in the high zone since you only have the one tank. When you saw what a disruption that caused when you took that one tank offline to rehab it. So having a secondary storage tank in the high zone is important. So we were looking at potential sites based on the elevations in the high zone and town-owned properties. Identified 3 to look at, and we have to kind of dig in a little bit more to figure out if they really viable. Go from there. So that's the update on those 2 projects. Do you have any questions?
Not that we haven't already asked.
So just hopefully, once we get the DOT comments, everything moved along quickly, we will be in active construction early in the summer. And we will expect that it will move efficiently and we'll have the supervising personnel available, to make sure that we don't
Yes.
end up with any glitches along the way.
Well, and that's the goal, and then you guys are gonna be doing the inspection, potentially bringing in someone new.
Yeah, I think
Extra
that's somebody that
staff.
can be kind of a representative for the water department, be there, following the progress of the project. Be sure things are done correctly.
Yeah, so, yeah, might wanna,
Already
Check
got that,
in.
already got that ball rolling.
yes, okay, all right, good.
So it's a very visible project, so
It
it's gonna
is.
be in people's face for
Couple
an
months.
extensive period of time, and it needs to be as efficient and as well managed as possible, because we're gonna get blowback anyway, but I'd
Yeah.
rather get minimal blowback than a whole bunch of people with legitimate complaints.
I agree.
That's all you've got?
That's all I have.
And we'll move on to the water superintendent.
All right. Oh, first off, we're still without an official foreman. We do have the treatment operator that's been doing a great job, stepping up and as the acting foreman. The crew as a whole is doing a great job. They did do a significant water main break this past week, and I think that they did a great job being together and a lot of work with the other town departments. In my absence, I was out of town on vacation, was not around for that. Did field some calls to give us guidance and direction, but I think that they, as a whole, as a team, as a group, they did a great job getting things done with that. It was the highway superintendent kind of stepped in and helped out and assisted Dave, quite a bit to get that done. That project was paid by the town's contract paver today, so it's been completely paid and repaired and looks good out there. I was out there today, they were finishing up, it looks great, so that was good.
Just don't wanna have too many of those.
No,
In talking with Johnny Mathias, because he was brought in by Paul. There was a considerable amount of water still present when he showed up at 5:30 at night, so part of the problem was trying to get, the area dewatered enough so that they could backfill it sufficiently, and, so that it would compact correctly.
yeah, they were dealing with some state on natural groundwater. There's a brook that actually kind of runs right through under the road where they were working and then catch basins that goes out into, I think it's Furnace Pond or something like that.
It's one of those perfect storms, huh? wrong place, wrong time.
Yes, yeah, but yeah, so yeah, JD Matthias company was called upon by the highway superintendent to come in and assist. Um,
Initially, they were gonna use road plates, and they ultimately didn't do that. And Paul's machine wasn't big enough, and our machine wasn't big enough to handle the road plates that they're gonna use, as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be substantial road plates
Yeah.
that, I don't know where they would acquire those, I mean, they'd have to be like 20-foot road plates to plate that, and the town doesn't possess those, so it would have to be a source from, I don't know where they would have got them, so. But they, like I said, they did a great job of getting the water up to fill it and compact with a suitable material until, at which time today it was regraded and paved, and the site looks great, cleaned up real well, so, you know, a great big thank you to the fire department, Paul Bowser and his crew for coming out and assisting with the cleanup efforts today, as we're busy fixing a service leak up in Ocean Hill Estates today, so.
Should we send a letter to Paul Basler, thanking him and the highway department for their assistance in that?
We can do that, I did thank him and his crew, most of the guys individually personally. You know,
I'd vote for a formal letter of thanks for stepping up, because it was one of those emergencies, the biggest emergency I've seen since I've been here, that required them to step in, and they did, and I really appreciate them doing it. And if you could do a letter, and I would think we should all sign it, not just you.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion, because it is all of us that are grateful for the effort that they did.
I mean, when I was there early in the morning before they really started any jackhammering, was it Sean from the highway department?
Yes,
Was there talking to Dave about where they were gonna put the vacuum truck, so that in fact, it was help and assistance from the very beginning, it wasn't that they came in at the end to do it, so it was, I was impressed with the willingness of the highway department. Paul wasn't around, but that makes no difference, it was, obviously, they'd been given some direction to assist us in repairing the water main.
Well, we've consistently stated over the years, I know I've been a big part of that, that the water department and the highway department work very closely together. And we share equipment, we share staff when we need to. Both well-run departments work well together. And I think it's a tribute to the leadership of both departments, and a tribute to the town that we have employees that step in and do things like that. So I think a formal letter of thank you to Paul and the employees at the highway department is in order.
Make sure that letter also goes to town administrator and the selectmen. Copies of it.
Okay.
Please.
so I think, like I said, I'll say it again, that it was a great job, well done, by all parties involved, so. We have not received any qualified applicants for the polling position. We did receive one applicant that did not possess the required licenses for the position, has significant experience and background in water repair and installation and the like, but unfortunately doesn't possess the required licenses. The job is still posted, hoping that we'll get something. I've been asking other friends of mine that work in the industry if they know anybody that's interested in that type of position, and
And nobody wants to give you one of their best employees, I get it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I get it.
So, as Kristen mentioned, that was the DOT stuff with the permit application for Main Street project. That's progressing nicely. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. I've been in touch with a representative from Mass Highway DOT in regards to finishing the final pave on Main Street. We had the leak back in the beginning of January. I was on the phone with him yesterday. Stated that we've been out there, attempted 3 times to pull the road plates to pave that. But the groundwater is it's acting like a natural catch basin out there. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do without going and trying to remove everything in a rapid sequence right now to get driving to in the pavement, suddenly in the same situation where it's saturated. And right now, it only has to be a temporary patch, a cold patch, you do not get hot asphalt without going to Avon. By the time you get back from Avon,
It's cold.
So doesn't Paul have a hot box?
he does. I did talk to Paul in regards to, I was talking close with Paul yesterday, I mean, trying to figure a resolve for this. His hot box only haul approximately 3 tons of hot mix at a time, and that product's gonna require about 4.5 tons of hot mix, and it's, by the time it's like a 2.5 hour round trip.
They're not doing any asphalt fabrication at Edwards?
TL Edwards and the Bone location is, they go offline for winter months. They typically open up, depends on the weather. They could open up the middle of March, end of March, but typically, beginning of April is there.
I did go by there recently, only I forget where I was going, and they had some major construction going on, train wise, on the plant. I didn't know that was, in fact, an issue as well.
No, they typically will shut down for the winter months, do a lot of their maintenance upgrades, things like that, so that when the season starts.
So where did the asphalt come from for Swiss Lane? Avon?
Rochester. That's the company the town has a paving contract with, for the road repairs throughout town. And that Rochester company owns their own asphalt plant out of Rochester. And we deal with TL Edwards.
Is there any possibility, what's the round trip, Rochester versus Avon?
I think it's a greater distance, that's why when the highway department gets, they go to Avon to TL Edwards to get
Oh, really?
in the hot box, correct? So I did talk to Paul about trying to formulate a plan.
Yeah.
You know, like Steve, we kind of piecemeal it, do, half of it at one time and then trying to do the other half, but I wasn't talking to the state, told them the situation, and they seem to understand it, they want to see the road plates off for the winter months. So in some months, it wouldn't really be an issue, but the concern is plowing and stuff like that, but fortunately, we're very fortunate the road plates do not impinge on the travel lane, they're just outside of the fog line. So I've been in close contact with the owner of Pro Limo. It does have an impact on one of his driveways to his business. And he's not concerned, he does have, unneeded access to run his business, so he doesn't oppose to it being sitting like that until we get on asphalt.
Good.
spraying.
Good, because I hate to have a business suffer,
Oh, absolutely.
and it sounds like they're not, so we can make sure we need to.
No, they've been very patient and cooperative, and willingness to work with us is very good, so. So we're just trying to get that done. Moving along, I did meet with FinCom back on the 14th and reviewed the budget plan. They had a few questions that were answered to their satisfaction, and they unanimously voted to approve budget as presented, which was great. We're still working on resolving a billing issue with Univar, which is the supplier of our sodium hypochlorite. They will bill us incorrectly by a substantial amount that Stacy kind of picked up on it, with that line item being substantially drawn down. And I was looking at one of the bills and realized that they were charging us per pound instead of per gallon. So each bill was thousands of dollars overcharged. So we pulled all of our records, waiting to hear back. I sent another email today asking for what they've come up with, their findings, make sure that it coincides with ours. And they wanted us to provide our findings, and I want them to provide us with.
So they are aware that this is something that needs to be fixed.
It needs to be addressed immediately. They want to give us a credit, and I said, no, we're gonna need a check because we need to have that money put back into that line or pay for line KOH. So
Why couldn't we take the credit?
we would never spend it. We would never utilize the credit without.
They're not the only supplier that use chemicals.
They're the only supplier that we use for sodium hypochlorite,
Yeah.
and our typical delivery is $400 to $600, and it's 16,000. They owe us.
I don't even know because there was those other 4 bills that came in after that we held on to.
Yeah. So we need that money to pay for the KOH in line. That are, those come from different vendors. So it's the only thing, the only thing we get from, Univar, that vendor is the, sort of chloride.
Is that something we're gonna go to FinCom and look for additional funds for, if we don't get this resolved in sort of an immediate fashion? Or are we comfortable enough with the line item for chemicals that we don't end up overspending that line item?
I think we're getting real close with that line item currently, but I'm very confident that this is gonna resolve, this week or beginning of next week to
Okay,
prevent any,
just update us next week.
yeah, I think that, we're working very close with them, and like I said, they're very responsive to everything, so it's just a matter of seeing what they provide us for their records.
We're about $14,000 in the hole in that line item, so the money that we can get from them would cover that and bring us back to where we need to be to get through the rest of the year.
Again,
I don't wanna wait.
my concern is that, from Univar, they might say, yeah, we agree with you, but we're not gonna issue a check, we're gonna issue a credit, you can spend down on that until it's, wiped out.
I don't think they
No,
don't put up a fight to anything that we ask.
Okay.
for. They're just taking their time and getting their figures done.
Yep. No, I just wanna make sure that we're doing it, as expeditiously as we can, so that in fact we don't draw that, line item down, so it's in the negative.
How long do we have a contract with them for? Is
Uh,
it yearly or?
It's a yearly contract.
It's yearly, so that's another thing, but if we get a credit from
Yeah.
them, we don't spend it up till the end of the year, and then we don't use them next year as a provider.
But what you'd have to do is you'd have to write a contract that basically carried them over until,
I'm not sure we wanna use them again in the future, to be perfectly honest with you.
Again, the issue is making sure that we get reimbursement for, the money that was, inappropriately.
I don't think they'll have an issue. I think
Okay.
it's
No.
their mistake.
Yeah, in talking to the sales manager and the other managers that I've spoken to, they're not objectionable to cutting us a check for the reimbursement the credit was owed.
Okay.
So there's no objection to that, and it was, they said, okay, that's not a problem, we can do that, but they just wanna make sure that the numbers jive on
Yeah.
both sides,
Okay,
so.
that's fine.
And the quarterly reads have been completed and, they're in process. That seems to be going well, and as you are aware that the, Thorndike development at the, Signac property, they've withdrawn their proposals. And we've been talking with the other departments as far as the PK Realty goes, and we were discussing who's gonna be responsible for engineering reviews done by Resilient for their time and effort to review those proposals. Not sure if we should be able to bill that out to those parties for the time Kristen spent reviewing their plans and comments on those. And when I spoke to one other department, they typically will get a bond from that developer that's put into an account to pay for all that stuff. And when we have bills, they say, oh, you need to ask for your own bond. I wasn't aware of that. So I guess in past practices, it's been billed out directly to those people who have to go for the engineering costs. So.
It was my understanding that the town was gonna require PK Realty to put up a bond to cover all engineering. Well, it was our department over the planning board, that they were gonna require a bond, so.
Okay, so I just got I didn't just get an email, I'm just seeing it now. Valerie Massard sent an email to Chris and addressed it to Keith too. It says, on the water department, it's my understanding that the approximate cost of the review already performed for PK Road was around $8,000 to $1,000. It's 900.
900.
And this is budgeted out of the $10,000 that was received for the peer review of that project. The money sits in the selectmen's accounts, not planning. So it does seem like there is money there for us to get reimbursed.
Right.
The remainder of the cost will be going to Horsley Whitney, who will perform an in-depth review of the project. And their estimate for the peer review was received today, and we are contracting at $8,800. In the future, the water department can request peer review funds with estimated costs from individual developers using Chapter 53G. This is how the Selectmen Planning Conservation Board of Appeals handle their peer review, and the finance department can help you set this up. So we can coordinate with Trish to get that money reimbursed.
Okay, good.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, and my last thing, I'll end with some great news. I did receive an email from the Kelleher estate that Greg McDowell is in a great position now and would like to try and sit down with me a day this week or potentially Saturday to discuss the sale of the property we're looking at for the well site.
It should be a pretty straightforward, because we've gotten estimates twice, right? So
Yes.
you got numbers you can lay in front of him, and unless there's something that I'm unaware of, this should be a relatively simple.
I'm just wondering whether it makes sense to have one of the commissioners, with Chris. And I noticed you sent an email back to Greg saying that you weren't available on Saturday. I think it's that important to this department and this town that we do whatever it works best for him, even if it's not our convenience. So
Yeah, no, that's right. That's why I say I can change my schedule around and make things work. If Saturday's the only time he has.
And I think just to make sure that he understands how important it is for us, if either Bob or myself is available, obviously it can't be more than one of us because then it has
What
to be-
time Saturday?
I sent an email back asking, what days and times or time on Saturday would work best for him. And he typically sends most of his emails are in the evening. I know he works all day into the early evening. So it's typically, 5 o'clock or later, he'll respond to an email. So as soon as I get something back, I'll reach out to you, Bud, and then that's what I was leading up to. Is that, I think it would also be good to, a representative from the board was
One
there
of us,
just-
and again, I think it just shows the importance of us wanting to get this thing done. And sort of as a result of a meeting with the planning department on the MBTA, master zoning requirements, the state is forcing upon the town. I actually spoke to the town administrator. I said, beyond, the well site that we're looking at the Kelleher property, we need to somehow find a way of getting into discussions with the Conservation Commission on land that they've got set aside for conservation, to see if we can come up with appropriate locations on town-owned land that will allow us to put in a well to supplement after the Kelleher well is put in place. Ideally, it would be something that would be relatively close to,
Existing one.
an existing well, and the treatment facilities either at the mall or at the Route 8. So
Well, it's really good
Keith-
news.
It is. No.
Keith thought that was something that he could start to run with, because the town's gonna need more if it's gonna continue to grow. And, as I said, that Mr. Shulan, I don't like sitting in the position of being the spigot that allows the town to grow. Because that's really what we are. you can say sewer, but, if we can provide potable water, then, the sewer is a offshoot of that.
Well, making progress with the well site, which is great news, so.
Again, I think it's important that we keep informed as to where we're going and how we're progressing. Because I think about the time we get approval to move forward from Greg, we need to basically expedite, a purchase and sale agreement, which will require town council to be intimately involved in that, writing a deed
And doing it quickly.
and doing it quickly, so,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
What do we have currently in the budget for well development in 2025? 24, 25.
And for well development or?
Yeah. For this current budget that we get, how much is in there for well
Well,
development?
we have, it's not in the annual budget, it's a special article, and that was just for the sale of the land,
Okay,
the purchase of it.
purchase at 150. Assuming that we can get the purchase and sale done, we need to look at warrant articles to see if we can, get a warrant article in to fund the development of, engineering.
Yeah, I can start pulling together some numbers.
yeah, we'll need that, and we're gonna be running out of time very quickly, so we need,
Yeah.
I guess, if you can make it a high priority.
Yeah.
You want it
Because
to
we're gonna
be-
give them a number and they're gonna need it very soon, because they set the
Has it already-
agenda for the town meeting
It
when.
has a warrant, you know when the warrant's gonna close?
I'm not sure.
Want to get in
I
for
don't know that-
proposals, I don't
I
wanna
don't-
have to ask them especially to
I don't
open
know.
it.
I don't know that you could get it in for this spring.
Yeah.
It might end up being in
Might
the
have to
fall.
be.
Fall special.
Yeah.
I,
But we need that number anyway, so,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't
Yeah.
set your hopes on this.
No,
well, let's at least try.
Yeah,
I
if
think
you can let
that-
me know,
I
Yeah.
think the warrant's already closed. I think it closed like a month or 2 months ago.
Already.
Yeah, I think it closed a while ago, because they were doing things earlier. That was a question that was asked, like, geez, it seems kind of early, but I think they closed the warrant early to get things done.
so for that article, do you want it to just be the initial engineering cost or all through
If it's gonna be in the fall, I think we should have it all ready to go.
everything through construction, you mean?
Yeah.
The big, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
the big number, yeah.
I was hoping we could get something in
Yeah,
the
so
spring
just-
one, and that would be just the engineering one, because we wouldn't have time to do the rest of it. But if we have to wait till the fall, I think we gotta go,
I'll double check, I've been so out of the loop, but I'll double check tomorrow
Yes.
if I find anything else.
the pedal to the metal in fall, if we get this thing passed and then get it out to bid.
Sure.
And then it's a year of construction, and
no. Let's not get too far down the line until we have
go ahead and
signature on a purchase
get the
and
land
sale
in hand.
agreement.
No, but it was great to hear that,
Yeah.
and see that, so.
Finally get some movement forward, it's been a while,
It's been
too long.
Yeah.
turtle speed, but I've been persistent without being a nuisance, so. Patience,
I think I've been accused of being a nuisance on it, so,
not by me,
no,
so, nope, it's good, that's all that I have.
Stacy, do you have anything?
No, just that, like Chris had said, bills, I thought we're gonna get closed out today, but there was a little bit of a software glitch, so we're working on that to resolve that, but I should have them to the collector's office by, hopefully by tomorrow, but maybe later in the week, by Friday at the latest. So the bills can go on time. And that's all I got.
Lori did an awesome job while I was away. I will say that. Give her big kudos. There's no way I could have been out for 3 weeks without her here. So
and it could be appropriate to give her a letter of thank you.
No.
no, I thank her every day.
No, absolutely, Laurie's a great asset, well,
Yeah.
she's
I'm-
really done a tremendous job stepping up, and, Very knowledgeable, very skilled, very helpful, brings great energy into the office too, so I can't say enough great things about her.
And she cleans.
I'm just kidding. I have a lot of fun talking to her. She's knowledgeable. She wants to learn, and that's the important part.
She's
She
eager.
She's eager to learn how we operate. And I've told her repeatedly, don't pay any attention to what Stacy says about the board.
And she also is also like, when she sees me get stressed, she's like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I take off your plate? You
Yeah.
know, she's
That's
extremely
good. That's good.
aware. She's got good self-awareness.
Yeah.
So.
I move we adjourn.
Second, and so voted.